everyone, I'm Jeremy Cordo, coming to you from, well, my land, my garage. I don't mean to be cheeky, but I get so sick of that welcome to country stuff, for God's sake. But anyway, that's just me. Pete went down, what was it, Thursday night, Pete?
Yes.
And Jacinta Price, and I think also Senator Alex Antic was there as well, yes. And they were having their say. I mean, you, all I know is what you told me. You thought they were pretty good?
They were brilliant.
Brilliant?
Yes.
Well, I hope the general public gets to hear more of them, and if we had 2 cameras, we'd get them into the studio and do a 2-headed, 3-headed, whatever. But anyway, be that as it may. We've got plenty of time to sort out this voice thing in the lead up to that referendum. But anyway, welcome to the show, the Court of Public Opinion. It's not actually happy birthday to Catharina van der Linden. What a beautiful name, Catharina van der Linden. She lives here at West Beach in Adelaide, and she's just been named the oldest woman in Australia, 110 years of age. Congratulations, my darling. Migrated to Australia in 1955 from Holland with her young family. She had 4 children, 10 grandchildren, I think 15 great-grandchildren. Yeah, that could be right. 4 children, 10 grandchildren, 15 great-grandchildren. 110 years and 8 months old. Oldest Australian. Wonderful. Speaking of birthdays, before we get into the stuff of the day, May the 2nd. May the 2nd, and this day in 2018, new research shows that plants talk to each other. What a wonderful thought. Plants talk to each other, but what does that say about picking flowers and eating vegetables?
Oh, never eat a vegetable again.
Katie and her carrots? What are you talking about? Oh dear. New research shows that plants actually talk to each other through their roots and soil in a study just published. That was on this day, 2018. I don't think I ever saw that back then. Don't know. Well, we should make more of that. It's interesting. 1952, the first scheduled jet airliner passenger service between Britain and it was, well, from London to Johannesburg. They were carrying 36 passengers, and it was an Overseas Airways Corporation, British, in other words, BOAC. I don't think BOAC is around anymore. BOAC. And it was a Comet, which was the first jet passenger airliner. It unfortunately had a few catastrophes, sad accidents which put an early end to it, but it was a really beautiful aeroplane. Great aeroplane. What else can I tell you? After anchoring nearby, Captain Charles Fremantle of HMAS, no, there wasn't an A in there back then, HMS Challenger, declares the Swan River Colony in Australia. Claims it. Well, okay. There would be debate about that, I suppose. Nothing wrong with debate. 1829 was the year. The Battle of Hogwarts. I don't know. I did try because my youngest boy, Christopher, was really into all of that stuff. Wizardry and Hogwarts, and I just never kind of got into it. But 1998, the Battle of Hogwarts, fictional battle that ended the Second Wizarding War with the death of Lord Voldemort at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Yes, okay. 1929, I did that one for Christopher. 1929, Billie Holiday, 14, 14 years of age, one of the great singers, jazz singers of the world. She was arrested with her mother for prostitution following a raid on a brothel in Harlem, 1929. Went on to have a great career. 1933, Germany, Adolf Hitler bans trade unions. Trade unions are great, but you don't want the communists running them, and you don't want the fascists running them. You want the workers running them. Osama bin Laden, suspected mastermind behind September 11 attacks and FBI's most wanted person, killed by US Special Forces in Pakistan on this day in 2011. Red Letter Day. We got him! Hammer Film Productions releases its first colour horror film, which was called The Curse of Frankenstein, starring Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. 1957. We spoke to Christopher Lee a few times. He had a very long career. The Falklands War, Argentine cruiser, the General Belgrano, was sunk by the submarine, the British submarine Conqueror, killing more than 350 people. But that was really revenge for what the Argentinians did to, what was the name of the destroyer? Sheffield, I think it was. Sheffield, very futuristic destroyer, made of aluminium. Unfortunately, aluminium burns if you get it to a certain temperature, like wood. And it was hit by an Argentinian Exocet missile, and the people who weren't killed on that destroyer, the Sheffield, were horribly, horribly burned. And sinking the General Belgrano was revenge, I suspect. What else can I tell you about the day? Tsar Nicholas the First bans the public use, public sale of serfs. 1833. No more second-hand serfs. Oh dear, oh dear. Strange world it must have been back in Russia in 1833. Strange world it is in Russia right now. More than 1 million German soldiers officially surrendered to Western allies in Italy and Austria on this day in 1945. That's all well and good, but what the hell would you do with them? 1 million. The Red Baron, German World War I fighter ace, born in Poland, died 1918. We talked about that a few weeks ago. But he was born this day in 1892. Hannibal Goodwin patents celluloid film used in Thomas Edison's kinescope. I think that's about all. Anything interesting over here? Princess Charlotte of Cambridge, daughter of William and Catherine, third in line to the throne, born in London in 2015. Engelbert Humperdinck, otherwise known as Arnold George Dorsey, British pop singer, Release Me. He had some wonderful songs. He did some great versions of some Chris Christopherson music as well. He was born in India, Madras, British India in 1936. Leonardo da Vinci, Italian painter, sculptor, scientist, visionary. He dies at just 67. Oliver Reed, he dies at 61 while filming Gladiator in Malta, 1999 that was. An actor I really did enjoy watching, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. 77 Sunset Strip, Scruples, the FBI. He was 95 when he kicked off, 2014. And Leslie Gore, her real name was Goldstein, American pop singer, It's My Party, You Don't Own Me, a lot of others too. She was a good singer. Born in Brooklyn, New York, died in 2015, but born this day in 1946. A year younger than me. Anyway, some of the things for which we remember the day, and if it's one of celebration for you, I hope it'll be a great day. Now, the Comm Bank, you've probably heard of this, the State of the States that they do regularly. It's an interesting economic snapshot. Number one is Tasmania. South Australia and Queensland are equal second. God, that would get up the nose of New South Wales, wouldn't it? But when you look at it, I guess it makes an increase in interest rates somewhat of a certainty. But we can't comment on that because at the time we're recording today's episode of the Court of Public Opinion, the RBA has not met. But the word is that the interest rates will be left on hold for another month. But there is a slim chance that they will hike the interest rates, 0.25%, but we'll see later on today. You would have heard of, well, you see, I had never heard of it. Pete, have you ever heard of a gender reveal party?
No. No.
A whole lot of people get together and, I don't know, do they reveal all their agendas or agendas or...
I think it's to do with a newborn baby, I think. I saw something on television.
Yeah, but that's a christening, isn't it?
No, I didn't pay a lot of attention.
It's not sort of like somebody coming out and deciding, well, I used to be a man, but here I am revealing I'm a woman.
Well, maybe, I don't know.
But I've not heard of it, but perhaps you have. A gender reveal party. I don't know what it means. What is this thing about gender? It's strange. It's a little bit like, I think, collective something. Repetition strain injury. Do you remember that? Suddenly, when half the country had a sore arm or a sore leg or a bad hand, as if by osmosis, mass hysteria. Or is it the media looking for these stories? As I've said, I can believe the last census. I guess there are doubters who would say, no, you can't believe the last census. But if you look at the last census, only 1,260 people in the entire country said they were transgender. Now, if you trusted the media, let alone the census, you'd swear that there were millions of transgender people out there. I wonder what the truth is. Very strange. If ever you've had any doubts about the Greens, let me sort of put that to rest here. They want the new and controversial drug injecting room. Oh, they call it a safe injecting room. There's nothing safe about sticking heroin in your arm. The drug injecting room in Richmond. They want the proprietors, or the people who are running it, to provide the facilities to children as young as 10 and pregnant women. That these people and their crazy opinions are supported by anyone is just amazing to me, truly. A big meeting of the leaders of the nation in Canberra tomorrow to talk about housing and how more people should be provided with social housing, affordable housing. What they're really talking about, of course, is free housing, or as close to free as you can possibly get. Now, I don't quite understand how in this competitive world anyone can expect someone, even the government, to give them a house. People must be made, encouraged to be self-reliant. Now, I know it's not easy. When I was a kid, at the age of 22 or something, struggling to buy a house, it's tragic. It's a struggle, but it's one that we can win. But as you travel through life, it could well be that things occur and you lose this wonderful thing called a home. Now, for that group of people, I've got enormous sympathy. We have in Australia at the moment full employment. There are only 607,900 people unemployed. There are 900,000 job vacancies today. So that's kind of like about 2 jobs for everyone is looking for one. Anyway, we'll see what comes out of this meeting tomorrow. That's the point. Now, this is strange. Car dealers are asking the purchasers of new vehicles to sign a waiver to say that the dealership takes no responsibility for the fact that the remote key control contains button batteries. Now, I wonder how long it's going to be before we'll have to do the same thing with electric cars generally. If the button batteries are a danger that dealers want nothing to do with, what about the whopping big lithium-ion batteries that you find in electric cars? Okay, you're not going to get one of those stuck down your throat, but they must be regarded as more dangerous than a button battery. And speaking of car batteries, lithium-ion batteries in particular, on the weekend we had the third fire involving a warehouse and retailer who was selling batteries. Now, I wonder why people can't or won't join the dots. Lithium-ion batteries, in particular in motor cars, are incredibly dangerous. And I wonder how long it's going to be before insurance companies refuse to insure them. And I guess that would rub off on the insurance on your house if you have your car in an under-roof garage. I am openly prejudiced against electric cars, and I'm not sure why. I suppose it's all these old, lovely internal combustion engines that surround me here in the court of public opinion that has twisted my judgment somewhat. I have talked to people who love electric cars, and I said, well, to each his own, honestly. Now, this is strange. Australia Post wants the government, that's us, to fund their losses, which look like being considerable. But my question is, why do they have losses? They say that they can't go on doing the job, which is delivering the mail. How do you have a problem when you have a monopoly on delivering the mail? When Australia Post was corporatised, why would anyone take on that task, that business, if they thought to themselves, well, I can't do it? Okay, in all honesty, people don't buy as many stamps as they used to. We just don't write letters or send letters as much as we did. But that's got nothing to do with the obligation these people have to provide the service. The one thing in life and business we can all count on is change. One thing I know is that if people don't come to your shop, don't come to your business, you don't reduce your service and you don't put your prices up. That's certainly 2 and 2, isn't it? In business, we've got to be constantly aware of trends. By that I mean threats and opportunities. It's kindergarten stuff, really. I'm sorry, I've got not a lot of sympathy for Australia Post management. They have a first-class network of branches, outlets, and a brilliant staff. And as I see it, they don't have a problem. Or they shouldn't have a problem. I mean, I've thought for a long time it would be a perfect setup to start a new bank, because they've got all the branches, and while all of the big banks are closing down their branches, if somebody started to open branches and provide service, my golly, I think you'd make a killing. A big review of Australia's immigration laws and services upcoming. It's interesting. Everyone in the world has an opinion on immigration, and everyone in the world discriminates with his immigration policy or system, quite happily. and, may I say, quite reasonably. In Australia, we apparently cannot be selective, or we cannot discriminate. Why? In this country at the moment, we need lifters, not leaners or shifters. Can't we have that maybe as a policy? I don't see any tendency to point the immigration program in the right direction, any direction in fact. We have a housing emergency, something like short 100,000 homes. A rental emergency as well. I sometimes wonder if any of these people talk to each other. Does Claire O'Neill, Home Affairs Minister, talk to anyone? Does it worry her or the government that there is no definitive immigration policy that I can figure? 150,000, this is from memory, 150,000 immigrants last year. We issued the visas. I don't know what filter was used in their selection. 450,000, I think, this year. By next year, 700,000. And as I said the other day, where are they going to live? Who is going to employ them? And I'll just leave you with one more. Reports from Central Australia and the Northern Territory that the lawlessness of Alice Springs is spreading. Maybe, I don't know, because it's harder to get grog in the Alice, I don't know. But reports that on 5 occasions in the last 3 weeks, tourists at Ayers Rock, or it's called Uluru, I call it Ayers Rock, Uluru, five occasions where tourists in the last 3 weeks have been assaulted, their camping gear has been urinated on, women terrorised, and what can we do? There will be obviously the predictable denials. People will look the other way. We are definitely creating a protected group of untouchable individuals based on the colour of their skin, and I think that is racist. But above all, ladies and gentlemen, it's not helpful. It's just not helpful to anyone. Thank you so much for viewing the Court of Public Opinion. I really appreciate your comments. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Pete and I will be back. Thanks for looking in.